13 rounds have come and gone in the Pro Championship, and after deciding just how seriously wrong it was for me to try and practice one of the night stages here in Britain, where it basically feels like I'm driving into virtual pitch blackiness, I decided, fuck it, I'm not going for the win. If I do go for the win, I'll basically see myself on a stretcher. I'm not doing that, or what feels like I'll put myself on a stretcher. I just decided I just want to end this. This pretty much has to be done, so I don't have to deal with any further struggles than what I already have done up to this point. So, these are your driver standings. A total of 16 drivers have scored points. A few scores are yet to be settled, but I would say most of them have more or less been settled in the heat of battle earlier on. And of course, as you can tell, I'm quite clearly the champion-elect. And in the constructors, well, Citroën has very much scored that championship as well. So, let's now head over to the cutscene for Rally Great Britain.
So this is it. After 13 events that would finish off most mere mortals, the WRC survivors have made it to the final Rally Britain. After the extremes of heat and cold in countries as diverse as Kenya and Sweden, it may seem an anticlimax. But the truth is very different. The Rally of Great Britain runs on private roads around Wales. The surface ranges from tarmac to gravel, and when the British weather turns bad, pure mud. And at the end of it, not just a rally winner, but a champion of the world.
And so, this is our first stage on the private road of Rhondda. And yes, I am going to try and deliver as much commentary as I can, even though this is technically coming from someone who basically has a voice that's almost hardly a voice, because, well, my throat can hardly stay in place as it is. So this is the setup I'm going to run. I'm going to go with fast steering, normal brakes, and short gear ratios. Let's go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, here we go.
100, right 4.
And so begins the final rally of the Pro Championship on the road of Rhondda. And hopefully, if it's possible, I can manage to actually keep my car on the road long enough to not see myself being wiped out in a fiery ball, which is what I fear might happen if I don't manage to keep my car on the road long enough. This run is going so much better than my first run was. I actually feel like I'm doing something properly this time, because my car is actually sticking to the road, and in all honesty, that's probably what I needed. And all it took was me basically changing my transmission ratios and also going to something with a bit more steering strength. And now it's going precisely as I thought it was going to go.
50, right 3. 100, very long, left 4, over crest.
I really thought for sure that was gonna over-rev the car, but it somehow didn't.
Into long right 2. 50, long
I guess it
right
must be
4.
because these cars are technically on restrictor
Into very
plates.
long left 4. 50, caution, over jump.
I'm going to assume that must be the reason why it's not exactly going as terrible as I thought it was going to go. Or why the car isn't as loose as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, to put it simply, you are taking an enormous gamble if you want to try and win here. That's one thing I know for goddamn sure here. And I know it's not going to be too long before this rally decides to bite me even harder than it already has done. Because to make matters even worse, well, I have to basically go through the forest in a stage, basically in the middle of the night where, for want of a better phrase, I can barely see the road in front of me. And just the inevitable abyss of objects that quite literally confound me so scarily and almost hedonistically, because there are just so many different things that can quite simply go wrong when you're just trying to stay on the road and set a decent pace. That when you're in a forest at night, especially if it's pitch black, then you can hardly see the road in front of you. But fortunately, however, I did set a decent time, because I managed to only have one error in the end of that stage. So that was stage 1, and considering I only hit one tree in the end of that stage and still finished 4th, I'm actually okay with that. But yeah, I'm not going to risk going for the win here, because if I do, then as I said before, I'll basically be seeing myself pretty much wrecking the car and basically just putting myself on a stretcher, and I decided that was a risk not worth taking. So, have I saved a stage 1 replay recently? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, anyway. I will have to check and see if I recorded those other replays. So these are the results after stage 1, and yes, my voice is barely holding on right now. Probably because of the fucking winter weather. And Marcus Gronholm finishes best of the rest. And here is the rest of the order. So Richard Burns looking like he's very much on his way to winning this rally, as the Subaru clearly has the best overall pace. Yeah, I'm really sorry, my voice is just not up to code right now, and I don't feel like it's worth risking any further than I already have done, so I might consider giving myself a break at some point during the segment from speaking. But before then, let's get on with stage 2. And so we begin stage 2. And of course, well, if driving into pitch blackness wasn't enough to add to the pain, we also have to deal with rain, which, in all honesty, is probably the other thing I don't really tend to look forward to very often. but as ever, we'll just have to wait and see how we do for the rest of the stage. I decided my only real goal was just to go for a top 6. Regardless of where I finish in the end, I just want a top 6 finish, and then I don't have to do this again. And don't expect me to put together a perfect run, because I don't work that way. My brain is not fucking hot-wired to try and go for perfection every chance I get. I like being challenged. It's partly what I believe makes racing games like this one fun. But yeah, perfect run, completely out of the question. I'm not doing it. I'm not dealing with just the physical pressure of having to put together something like that. Quite simply, it's just too much of a mental risk for me to deal with. Especially since there are already enough things I have to think about, as well as enough problems I have personally. So to put it simply, I'm not willing to take the risk. Not whilst I have so many other things that need to be addressed also. You're basically asking me to do something that's almost equivalent to dying. Anyway, 2 stages down, let's now move on to stage 3. Yeah, I'm going to assume the best I can really hope for at this stage is 4th, because that's currently where I appear to be running. Looks like that's probably the best I can hope for. So, Richard Burns wins stage 2 over Carlos Sainz, Tommy Mäkinen, myself, Marcus Gronholm and Armin Schwartz. And Didier Auriol finishes best of the rest, ahead of Colin, Patter and Marco. And here is the rest of the order. Yeah, I think the best I can really hope for at this stage is 4th now, because since we have basically that absolute nightmare of a night stage to contend with after stage 3, my realistic objective at this point is 4th, and that's providing I manage to get there, and hopefully I will. Because as I said before, I just don't care about the results, as long as I get a top 6. That's all I ask. Oh boy, even more rain.
3, 2, 1, go!
And as I would have expected, I stall out on the line. Well, personally, I'm not surprised. I kind of knew that something was going to further add to the pain that I feel here in Britain. And to say that up to this point, it's been really hard for me to somehow adapt to the conditions up to this point, but yet somehow be in 4th Well, that pretty much tells you everything about what I think just makes this rally
Into left 2. 300, right 3.
what almost makes this rally for me too
50, left
physically draining
50,
for
right
me
4.
to deal with in terms of actually trying to go for the win.
Right 4.
I've just decided I'm not taking that risk. It's just not worth it.
Very long, left 3.
I can try doing other things,
100, left
but going for the win, that's a definite no-go at this stage.
over crest. 100, long, right 4.
I just don't want to
Into left 4.
deal
50, left 4.
with the physical pain
50, long, left
of
2.
trying it
Into long, right
when my
5.
voice at this time is barely holding on,
And left 4.
and yet
50,
I'm somehow
over
trying
crest.
to stop myself from
Caution, over
catching a
jump.
cold or a cough. Hey, I'm actually at the front of the stage.
150, left 3.
That surprises me. Well, if it's possible for me to get one more stage win, then I suppose it would be a nice way to
left 2.
at least go out on Christmas Eve with something.
Into right 2.
I missed all the shit I have to deal with in between
200, right
with
3.
these inclement weather conditions.
100, very long, left 3. Tighten.
And as I would have expected, I get snapped back to reality.
50, right 5.
Fuck.
Long, left 5.
I'm honestly not surprised to say that I got caught up in a
50,
dike,
right 4.
unless that was a ditch. But I'm pretty certain that was a
50,
dike,
long, right 4.
judging by its shape and size.
And finish.
But wait, it gets worse. Yeah, 4th is definitely the best I can hope for here. I don't see myself finishing on the podium. It's just not possible. When my body is mostly worn and my voice is barely holding on. Okay. So we've got through the first 3 stages, and now we have to get through the most painful stage of this rally. And you know what? I think I will save the replay. I will have to check and see that I have a replay saved, but I'm pretty sure there is a replay of this one. So I'm going to save this and then I'm just going to check to be sure. So just looking on my computer, yep, I do have one saved. Okay, we're good. Just had to check and see that I had a replay saved from Finland. But I'm convinced in saying we have, so yeah. I might as well save the game here as well so I don't lose anything further from here. Okay. So I'm pretty certain in saying, oh, I've now moved up to 3rd. However, I'm pretty sure I'll drop back again because we have to deal with a night stage. So these are your results for stage 3. And another P3 for me as I finished 4 seconds ahead of Tommy Mäkinen. And Harry Rovanperä finished best of the rest. And here is the rest of the order. So I now surprisingly move up into P3, but I know that's not going to last. because I'm pretty sure my time in the following stage is going to be a slow one. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get through this absolute son of a bitch of a stage. And we'll see how we go. Well,
3,
here
2,
is
go.
what I consider to be the abyss.
Into left 3.
Well, good thing I have a big advantage over Marcus Gronholm in the Peugeot. Plus the following stage, you can actually see where you're going, because you're driving more in the morning rather than in the middle of the night.
100 over jump. Caution.
And if there was actually a daylight version of this stage, then I would probably be having more fun with this, but you know what? I don't really care. I just simply don't care about where I finish anymore, as long as I finish in the points. That's all I care about. I don't care how good or bad I do. I just want to get this absolute... I just want to get this absolute taunter of a stage just out of here.
Caution over jump.
Also because when you're sliding around a lot, you can barely keep the car straight. You can barely keep the car straight for long enough without something like that happening. It's just gonna happen to you. It's just gonna do that, and it's gonna punish you hard, regardless of which way you see it. It's basically just gonna give you a black eye, and then it's basically just gonna swing itself round, and then basically give you another black eye. It's almost like imagining someone basically giving you one black eye, and then basically being given time to more or less, and then basically being given time for the guy who's punching you to basically give you a roundhouse punch in the other eye. In other words, basically giving you a black eye in one split second, and then giving you a black eye in the other split second. That's probably the best comparison I can think of with this. It's like I'm basically walking into an abyss, and then basically getting double punched in both eyes. In other words, it basically feels like I'm driving with two black eyes. That's probably the best comparison I can think of when it comes to driving this stage. In other words, it almost feels like a suicide mission, when you can hardly see where the road is in front of you, and just with trees practically being just so close and with so many of them just surrounding you. You just absolutely know that you're practically on your way to reaching nowhere safe. And that's partly the reason why I just really hate this stage. This stage basically is what I would describe as being a MotorStorm style figure of hate. because of just
100 caution over jump.
because of just how much of a kamikaze mission it feels to drive on this stage without something seriously wrong happening. And that pretty much proves my point. But at least I finished ahead of Tommy, so maybe that does bolster my chances of getting into P3. Maybe. Dude, I am so glad that absolute abyss of a stage is now over. It's basically like you're just driving with two black eyes, and you can barely see where the road is. That's just how painful it is to drive through, in my opinion. But I got through the fuck you stage, and now let's get through the final stage. Still, where did Tommy finish? Oh, he finished P7. I think that's now gonna move me up to 3rd by a distance. And yes, it does. I was not expecting that. Anyway, so these are your results for Stage 4. So Richard Burns pretty much dominating the rally at this point, with Carlos in 2nd, Harry 3rd, myself in 4th, Armin Schwartz 5th, and Marcus Gronholm finished in 6th. With Tommy Mackinnon, Colin McRae, Didier Auriol and Alistair McRae rounding out the top 10. And then here is the rest of the order. So that now moves me up to P3 with a distance. I was not expecting that. Especially after how bad I started this rally. But I'm now up into 3rd. And it looks like I'm going to finish 3rd. So it looks like in the end of this I'm probably going to finish with 122 points on the board. Or 122. Anyway, final stage. And by this time we've got a little bit of daylight. Okay, let's go. Well, here we go.
3,
Final stage
1, go.
of the championship mode. And I gotta say, this has been quite the anticlimax, to say the least. I'm also pretty sure that since it is early morning, I can actually see where the road is heading. And the one thing that makes this even better is knowing that I'm finishing this on Christmas Eve. And if I do manage to get the rest of my WRC videos uploaded by tomorrow in the championship mode, then it'll quite literally be considered a Christmas miracle. So, yeah, there is that. And not off to the best of starts, as I finish Sector 2 in P6. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see where we finish.
Right 3, over crest, into left 3.
I figured I had to at least give Citroën some glory here, since they failed to score points in the original championship, and I figured it was only necessary. Yeah, I'm not winning this stage. There's no way that's happening. I'm just not on pace with the leaders. I just want to try and see if I can finish this with a decent time. Although I was 12 seconds clear of Tommy heading into the stage. So as long as I don't run into any trees, I think I should be able to finish this in P3. I hope anyway.
Long right 4.
But we'll wait and see.
50, caution, over crest, into right 4, into long left 4.
And this game is now being a bastard to me, because Tommy is now in P2.
50, left 5.
Which means the odds of me finishing third in this
Right 5.
have now been greatly reduced.
50, left 4. Over crest. 50, left 3.
Unless I can somehow start gaining time back again.
4 and left 4. 50, right 3.
But you know what? I'm not surprised.
Left 2.
The surprises coming to me
Into right
are
3.
very little
Into left 2.
at this stage.
Long right 3.
Yeah, I'm now down in P5, so... Yeah, I think that definitely tells me
Right 3.
I'm either going to finish P3 barely, or I'm almost certainly going to finish in P4.
Right 2.
Either way, I simply don't care. Because I just want to get this out of the way
Right 3.
and feel relieved to say that I actually
Right 3.
survived this.
And finish.
And across the line... Okay, so where did Tommy finish? I think he finished behind me, because I finished P4 in that stage. Let's find out. Okay. So, I set a record stage time, and I also managed to finish first in the rally record in terms of time. And can't really save the game anymore because, well, the stages are now done. And just before we move on, gotta check the replay is saved. Yes, it is. And so another stage win for Richard Burns. Where did Tommy finish in the end? Oh, he finished 8th. Yeah, that's definitely going to give me P3 for sure. So, not exactly the way I told myself to end this off, but you know what? I just don't care anymore. The championship is done, and the 2 painful stages of this rally have also been cleared. So Richard Burns basically sweeps Rally Britain over Carlos Sainz, Marcus Gronholm, myself, Didier Auriol, and Petter Solberg in the end of stage 5, with Marco Martin finishing best of the rest in the Subaru. Unfortunately, he scores no points. And I don't think we've got any new drivers on the board, so it looks like it's going to be 16 again. Okay, P3. You know what? Considering the way this rally started, I will gladly accept P3, because I was just relieved to finish in the end, and ironically finish on Christmas Eve. So I guess in essence, if this gets uploaded on Christmas Day, I will call this a Christmas miracle. Anyway. So Richard finishes 20 seconds ahead of Carlos, myself being a further 30 seconds behind Carlos. Then we had Tommy in P4, Marcus P5, and Didier finishing P6. With Harry Rovanpera, Armin Schwartz, Marco Martin, and Colin McRae completing the top 10. And here are the rest of the results, rounded off by Kenneth Eriksson in the 3rd Hyundai. So, 122 points is what we get in the final standings. Carlos finishes on 63, with Tommy finishing on 52, Burnsy on 31, Colin on 24, and Marcus on 15, tied with his teammate Didier. Then we had Kenneth Eriksson P8, Freddie Loix P9, with Harry Rovenpera completing the top 10. And the other point scorers we had were Francois Delacour, Gilles Panizzi, Thomas Radstrom, Petter Solberg, Toshihiro Arai, and Armin Schwartz. And that's pretty much everyone. So 16 drivers on the board once again, and in the manufacturer standings, well, Citroën wins by 30 points over Ford, Mitsubishi third, less than 60 points behind, then Subaru finishes P4 with 44, Peugeot finishes P5 with 22 points, Hyundai on 12, and Skoda in the end finishes, coincidentally, on 7 points. 7th in the manufacturer standings and 7 points on the board. That's total irony. Anyway, there we go. World Rally Champions, baby! First place, Philippe Bugalski. First place, Citroën. Cool. Yeah, championship winners, baby! I might as well show this cutscene in full, because I can. Also because it's a Christmas miracle, so I might as well. Hear the roars of the crowd, my viewers, because we have done it. Okay, that's enough. And now we get the credits, which I won't be showing until after the playthrough is done. Okay, there we go. So, that was the Pro Championship. And now, all we have to do is get through the rest of Challenge Mode. So, next time on WRC 2001 Challenge Mode.